All right, let's get it started. Gators Breakdown Plus members, everybody else, this is a Gators Breakdown Plus member chat getting together for the first time in a couple of weeks. And man, we had Jon Sumrall on the podcast. He's been on other podcasts. We've heard from all the coaches heading into spring practice and not in the not too distant future. The basketball team on a hot winning streak right now, so plenty to get into right here on this Gators Breakdown Plus member chat. Like I said, first time in a couple weeks that we've gotten together. So sure we can have lots to discuss right here as we always do. Everybody else, if you're checking out the replay, hit that like button right there on YouTube. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or right here on YouTube as well. Leave some comments about what you guys think we're talking about. And there's lots going on in Gator Nation right now. And a lot of players been discussed because we've heard from the coaches and them discussing the players. Hopefully we get to hear from the players sometime soon with spring practice, ramping up as well. So I think we got some time before we really get to, dive deep into like expectations for spring practice and some of the position battles, of course, that we'll be getting into. So I think we probably use this time best since it's been a couple of weeks since we've gotten together. What Jon Sumrall had to say on Gators Breakdown, mainly we can concentrate on that, what some other coaches have said, what maybe if Sumrall said on other podcasts as well. Out there, glad he's doing the kind of podcast rounds, getting out there in front of Gator Nation in the best way possible, I think, with, right here on Gators Breakdown. They're on High Top. They're with Allie as well. I know he's got some other ones coming up too, and he's been doing kind of the national podcast too. I mean, Jon Sumrall's everywhere, but we see him at all we see him the basketball games, the tennis matches, softball. I mean, he's ingrained. He said on his opening press conference, "Hey, we're going to ingrain ourselves in this community." He seems like he's everywhere. I think he's cloned. So there's, a couple of Jon Sumralls running around on campus right now for as busy as he's been. So certainly he was not fibbing whatsoever when he said we're going to be part of this community there. I think that means University of Florida. That means Gainesville in and of itself. So I just think it's good that it's good. Other coaches have done it too. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing unique, but it just, it seems like he's just everywhere. I mean, golf matches as well. I saw the golf team giving him a shout out for him being there last weekend, I think it was, or a couple of weekends ago. I think it was last weekend. So yeah, pretty cool to see how much he enjoys being the Florida Gator head coach and being at the other events, supporting Gator athletics all across the board right now. So that's pretty cool to see. But yeah, lots to get into, of course, if we go back to when he was on Gators Breakdown. And I think a lot of the things that we can talk about, the instant success, how fast do we think about success, the rivalry philosophy. Of course, that was a question I know a lot of you guys in here wanted me to ask, and certainly how he's going to approach rivalry games, and about like I think we expected him to answer he did. Some of the NIL question marks too, the NIL realities at Florida, not the best, certainly not the worst. The offensive and defensive identities and how he'll be involved in special teams a good bit, and then kind of give his input on the offensive side of the ball as far as, hey, this is what the opposing defense is showing you. Here's how maybe you can attack it. And then, of course, trusting Brad White as a defensive coordinator, but giving some input on that side of the ball. That is his side of the ball, of course. So I think we can hit on all those angles there for Jon Sumrall when he was on Gators Breakdown, and some other angles if you guys want to as well. So go ahead and hop on in, guys. Let's get the conversation started with all those topics. Like I said, we can circle back around. We'll see if Bull Gator hops in. He likes to talk his basketball a bit too, but we can certainly recap the weekend that was in basketball as well. So all right, let me get to Ryan in here. Can always count on Ryan to come in here with these Gators Breakdown Plus member chats. What's up, Ryan?
What's up, Dave?
Oh, man, just kind of wrapping up the weekend a little bit.
Yeah, yep. I have to say, I haven't been keeping up with much, but I haven't noticed anything major going on. It's baseball season, so got two kids that play baseball and softball, so I'm always at the ballpark this time of year.
I hope I'm doing a good job here on Gators Breakdown, keeping you caught up.
Yeah, I listen to the podcast still, and I still check in daily, see what's going on, and there hasn't been much going on, so I was just like, okay. It's a typical off season, and I've heard all the, Summerall. I was going to say some some joke about he could take a vacation in June, like Mullen, but but
I don't know if he'll want to.
That won't probably go over too well.
As long as he's not water skiing, he'll probably be okay.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I'm like you said, that's the best part is I like seeing him out there, like you said, ingrained in culture. He's trying to be part of the community, and that's good to see. I mean, it's all going to come down what happens on Saturdays during the season, but he's doing he's got the right approach, the right mindset so far.
I think so. And I don't think any of it's fake either. Like, I think he's genuinely being himself.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, you can tell he's just he's a football guy, and he enjoys the college atmosphere, and he's got the next step up. So, I mean, I can tell he enjoys being a college coach. Now, I'm not that he may want to be an NFL coach one day. I have no idea, but I can tell he enjoys the college environment.
Yeah. That's funny you bring that up, and I'm going to turn that around another way. You said maybe I don't know either if he wants to be an NFL head coach one day, but as I sit here in late February of his, he hadn't even coached a game yet. But I think if we're sitting here telling ourselves in the future, hey, Jon Sumrall is the NFL head coach, that probably means a lot of success here in Gainesville.
Yeah, it definitely would mean a lot of success in Gainesville. Yeah, I would think so. So yeah, I have no idea either. I'm just thinking any coach in general, or most coaches in general, that's what you want to do for your career, would probably want to be at the highest level. Not everybody. I mean, some people might like college level better. I mean, I would probably, I don't know. Today's college game is different than college game 20 years ago. So it's probably a lot more work now.
That brings up a good topic. That's a good topic. I don't want to go too far off, but
yeah. We don't. Yeah,
no. But it's interesting. Like, who do we see doing that? Is it Kirby Smart? Is it Ryan Day?
I don't think both. Definitely not. Well, I say definitely. I'm not going to say definitely for anything. I don't see Smart doing that unless he just really gets. But I mean, he'd be doing the same thing. See, like college coaches that want to go to the NFL because of money in the NIL. Well, I mean, you're still dealing with that at the NFL level, but you have more structure, and you don't have to actually be hands-on to deal with it.
Right.
I think most teams are trying to do it that way, but you still have to recruit. And when you go to recruit, well, then you also got to involve, well, here's what you're going to make, here if you come to the University of Florida. And I don't know. It's
like, I'm not shutting the door on Lane Kiffin going back to the NFL at some point. And that was, in my mind if he was coming to Florida too. Like, I don't think he's shutting the door on that.
Yeah, same here. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, but those are the ones,
like you said.
Those are the ones that come to mind kind of initially, when you start that conversation. But yeah, don't get me wrong, I hope Jon Sumrall is here for 20 years and he retires here. Like, that means he's also having some success. If he's here for 20 years, that means we're not wanting to get rid of him, and he doesn't want to go anywhere.
Man, let's just get through 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
let's get here. Let's get through 4 years, and
I know the running joke is Florida all just recycles coaches. Like, I've never had an issue with firing the coaches on the timeline of Florida's fired coaches, but that doesn't mean at the same time I would not love a coach to be here for a very, very long time. I'm ready to win, dadgummit.
Yeah. We want to heck, let's do longer than Spurrier. Spurrier's only here like 12 years. Let's and he did plenty of winning.
Yeah. And that's what's so crazy to me. I brought up Kirby Smart, and I think he's going into his 10th season, right?
Yeah, 10th or something like that.
10th or 11th. I mean, he's almost been at Georgia as long as Spurrier was at Florida, and it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, but he's done a lot of winning too.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan, let me get your thoughts on this. This is one topic I did want to hit with you guys, and then Garden State Gators going to get into. While I bring him in, I do want to get your thoughts on this. The instant success question I brought up to Summerall, and look, he won at Troy. He turned around Troy. Tulane was already winning, but he still had the first year success. There's a track record there, and look, he said, it's all about the players, and he's finding ways to win. Based on that philosophy of recalibrating rather than rebuilding, Do you think the current Florida roster, is it broken, or does it just need the confidence recalibration, that he mentioned, that we've kind of mentioned? We think there's enough talent on this roster. Now, I don't know what that means for year one. We know it's a tough schedule again, maybe not as tough as it was the previous 2 years. But there has been a track record of instant success. I mean, Troy was 5-7, and then he a big jump in year one there. Tulane was already winning, he continues that. Is it realistic to expect a jump, or should we temper expectations a bit? I don't know how to really gauge it, just because of what he has done and already proven that he can win in year ones at the previous stops.
Yeah, I'm going to temper expectations. I don't think it's the same as I think the jump from his level from the All-American Conference, whatever the conference he was in at Tulane to the SEC, is a lot bigger than it was from Troy to Tulane. Yes, we got pieces, and also, what is your definition of success?
Right.
See, for me, for our first year in the SEC, I don't expect playoffs. Eight wins would be phenomenal, and then where we at in recruiting, and I guess now we have to factor in NIL, because we want to also be able to go out and get good transfers. But I still look at, for me, and I may be old school, but I still look at year one like I would any other coach. It's not necessarily wins on the field, but how we're doing recruiting, and as long as we're not looking like a complete mess, as long as you start seeing progress and you can see the foundations being laid, and it's going to look good. You can tell it's going to look good, and you are confident that you've got players coming in to continue to make it look good. That's kind of where I look at it, and that's how I've always looked at it. Now, it's different now with NIL, so high school recruiting isn't as valuable at some positions anymore. I get all that, but I still think, you want to build your team inside out, and I still believe to get the best talent on your offensive line and defensive line, you need that out of high school. Most of those players need to be developed a little bit. Some are instant, but for offensive and defensive line, I think you still want to recruit those players out of high school, develop them and keep them. And then skill players, you can get skill players out of the portal all day, but I still think like your interior, your linebackers, the heart of your defense and the heart of your offense, you still want to get out of high school recruiting. So I still put a lot of value in that.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll get Garden State in here as well. For me, with a lot of this too, I agree with a lot of what you said, but it sparked something in me, is because Florida's got that early game against Auburn, and that's another new head coach, and then Arkansas, and both those schools hiring coaches from the AAC. I don't necessarily want to play the compare game all too much, but we're, overall, I think Florida is a better program than Auburn and Arkansas. Very comparable to Auburn.
I agree.
Very comparable in a lot of ways, but all three, of these programs are hiring coaches from the AAC. And Auburn decided to bring in a lot more USF players, and Memphis decided to bring in, or Arkansas decided to bring in under Silverfield a whole lot of Memphis players. Summerall didn't do that. He decided to, and this is kind of where we're going with, the Florida roster being in good shape. I don't think he needed to do that either. To me, there wasn't of looking at the roster and saying, hey, we can't win. We don't necessarily have the players at Florida. I think you walk into this roster and you see a lot of good that should have been winning more. So you don't have to bring a lot of your players from Tulane like those other two schools did. You can rely on a lot of the players that were already here. You do get some familiarity with some guys from Penn State and some Georgia Tech with your coordinators and your position coaches. But to me, another angle I'm going to look at it is, all right, these three schools took some different paths, but coaches from the same AAC conference. What does it look like when you compare it to them as well? And we're going to get an early test when Florida has to go on the road and play at Auburn. So I think, part of this instant success in year one is going to, for me, in some ways, comparing it to what Auburn and Arkansas do as well.
Yeah, I got a theory, and I may be completely wrong. I think the way Auburn did it, for instance, with what's his face? I just drew a blank on his name. Golish.
Yep.
Bringing everybody over from him, getting a lot of transfers, trying to. I think that's a much more better recipe for instant success, maybe because it's more familiarity. It's easier to install. You kind of just try to pick up right where where you left off last season in a way. I don't know if it's best for long-term success for the program unless you can back it up with the money, NIL, recruiting. So that Auburn game will be interesting. It's going to be tough for us because it's on the road, and it's right. So road games are Auburn, tough environment. You're right. It is going to be a good test to see which way kind of works out. Like I said, I kind of feel like the Golish's way. He did that for more instant success, but maybe I'm just not thinking right. I don't know. I prefer the way we did it. I like Summerall's approach much better. Because we already see that didn't really work with Napier. He kind of brought all his buddies over, and we're here again. So
just to hop in real quick, I feel like I could guarantee that all the people I was bringing over, so if I was Golish and like I trust my development and I really know what I'm doing there, and I feel like I have an edge over everybody else there, then maybe I do. I mean, that's kind of similar to what Signetti did at Indiana, right? Same type of mentality, and he had success with it. So I'm not going to say you can't have success that way. It's definitely possible. I just think it's better to not kind of like, I think to what you were trying to say, Ryan, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Have different options, have the ability to say like, all right, we're going to set ourselves up for the future, but we're also going to, it's the same type of strategy that, I think for maybe Ryan, you and Dave were both talking about it before, kind of comparing things to the NFL. And that's why we have, Caldwell there as a GM now. That's why we're moving in that direction. I think it's smart to go that direction now because we have to be able to look at everything from a holistic type of perspective. And there's so many more facets to the game now than it was before with just recruiting, right? You have to worry about the transfer portal. You have to worry about NIL. You have to worry about all these other different situations that pop up. And, so I think they're doing a good job so far. And kind of to like my feelings, I guess, on where we're at currently, I tend to feel more like our coaching staff was letting down our talent. I think I still feel that way overall, as in terms of like the Billy Napier era. Now, I don't think Napier was terrible in terms of development. I think he did have some success with different transfer players, being able to open them up. You look at Ricky Pearsall, which, I mean, he had some success before, but I think most would agree he had his highlights at Florida, and then others, of course, as well. So I think there's definitely got to be some talent there, and I think there's an opportunity. I think mostly, and I'll kind of finish with this and let you go, Dave, and somebody else, but I think what I'm most looking forward to next year with Summerall is to not get out-coached every single time we go on the field. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have, like, going up against a tier 3 school in Mississippi State and feeling like, oh, God, I hope I don't get out-coached today. Like, I want to have confidence going into those games that it's going to be like, all right, we have clear advantages across the board. We should win this game. Like, I want to feel confident going into those type of games again, and to feel, like when we go up against the top tier teams that we are playing with them. We're not like, fighting against ourselves to beat that team. So, yeah.
Yeah, I certainly like that. The USF game last year, I think, did us all in, kind of a final straw, no matter, even though it was so early in the season. I always go back to that Arkansas game in 2023 when that team was winless in the SEC and fired their offensive coordinator coming to the swamp and beat Florida anyway. That's a good point. I do want to get to a point where this staff gives me some confidence. And look, upsets happen. I'm not saying they don't. Everybody knows that. But on those type of games just seem to happen. It was always in the back of your mind with this previous staff. Or I'm like you. I'm ready to move past the next step and just have a general sense of confidence when this coaching staff hits the field. And I actually put it out there, I think it was yesterday or Friday when, the official football account shared their short interview with Buster Faulkner about what he's doing. And I've retweeted it. And I said, look, we go back to a year ago and a lot of my confidence was I had confidence in the offense, but it wasn't necessarily because of coaching. It was because of players. Well, now it's the opposite. Now, we haven't seen a game yet, and I could be egg on my face, but I think because of what Buster Faulkner has shown in the past, if there is confidence in the offense, it's kind of reversed now. I'll see what these players bring to the table, but I have confidence in the coaching staff with Buster Faulkner, Phil Trotwine, and Marcus Davis and Trent McKnight. We've heard from those guys recently as well. I do think if there is some newfound confidence, it's because of the coaching staff, and it's different than what it was this time a year ago.
Oh yeah,
100%. I agree with that, and I just hopefully we don't have like another Charlie Weiss type of situation or something.
I've had some people bring that up to me as well. I'm like, well, at least there was, Faulkner's coming off of a very recent year of being one of the best offensive coordinators in college football. So
it's true. I'm nowhere near Will Miles. I'm okay. I'm not on that edge.
Positive Dylan, I know you hopped in if you got something to say.
I was gonna say if this first year could be like Urban Meyer's first year, Dan Mullen's first year, where maybe you win a couple games you're not supposed to win, maybe you lose a couple games you were supposed to win, but you end up like 9-3, 10-3. I think that'd be a very good first year. Even 9-4, I think that'd be a very good first year with this schedule and the players we have.
Absolutely. I'll sign up for that.
Yeah, and the schedule kind of breaks up. I'll put the schedule up on the video version too. But for the first time, we go back and we get 2 cupcakes to open up the year. And Napier didn't have that. Now, there's no excuse. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna say, but there was always a Utah and there was a Miami. In those first couple games that he had to deal with. Well, it was Florida Atlantic, Campbell, and then at Auburn, and you got Auburn and Ole Miss back to back. But you don't. Right. But then after that, you got Missouri and South Carolina back to back, and then it's Texas, and then a bye week before Georgia. Now the toughest one, you get Georgia and Oklahoma back to back. That's the toughest back to back sequence Florida has, and then Kentucky, Vanderbilt at Florida State. So look, there is a chance that the three, as I'm looking forward, at Kentucky, Vanderbilt, at Florida State. I think we all feel we should be 3-0 ending the season on a high note, feeling good coming out of 2026 with those 3 games. With those 3 games,
Vandy? I think Vandy. I'm shocked I'm even saying this, but I think Vandy will be better than typical Vandy, even without their quarterback. I think their coach.
I agree.
We'll see. I agree,
maybe
not.
I think if Florida's in a good spot.
Well,
if Florida's where I think they can be, and if Florida's in a good spot, that's a win for me. At home, it's the last home game of the year. If this thing is trending right, that should be a win, in my opinion.
I've seen some very crazy Vandy games in my lifetime. That's all I'm going to say. Things we shouldn't have lost.
The fact that we could look at Vandy as a benchmark game is just like
there. Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. There you go. That's.
Right to your point. You're looking at Vandy as
well. Have Vandy be a benchmark game anymore. Like, let's make a T-shirt, right?
I mean,
no more. Vandy is not a benchmark. That's all I know.
To that point, Ryan went to Vandy before he went to FSU.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Vandy in conference. FSU. I ain't really worried about them. But Vandy has proven to actually can win some games in the last couple of years. I mean, granted, they had a quarterback, but that's different. But they went out and got a good quarterback.
To your point, if they go with Jared, we got Jared Curtis, the 5-star freshman, who decommitted from Georgia. And if
that's right.
And if he's the guy, well, that's going to be his 11th game. So he won't necessarily be a freshman anymore. If he's starting and playing the whole entire season at that point. I don't know what their quarterback situation will look like at that point. But anyway, kind of going to the schedule does set up. It's still, I think I saw On3 put out their rankings in last week or the week before. They still rank this as a top 10 tough schedule in college football. So, we do catch a quote unquote reprieve from the schedule gods a little bit. But, you have the Auburn and Ole Miss back to back, like I said. Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma are back to back, but there is a bye week before Georgia. So it sets. I just think it also sets up as far as tough games go, how you break it up a bit too. Where it's only one bye week this year. You don't get the 2 bye weeks like we had the last couple of years. But because of opponents, there is a little bit of catch your breath moments instead of having this gauntlet of I think the bye week's pretty good in the middle of the season, but you do play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight games to open up the season. Then you get a bye week for the last 5 games of the season. But it's not like I've seen some crazy bye weeks this year where it's like in first week of the year, second week of the year, and then teams are going to have to go play 11 games in a row or 8 games in a row, and it's ridiculous like that. Florida doesn't have that, so I think it breaks up pretty nice as far as we're talking about year one and instant success. The schedule and how it lays out might also benefit Florida.
Year ones are always fun with new coaches, and we have a lot of experience in year ones with Florida, being Florida fans. So, because there's lower expectations, you can actually just go out there and you're watching the team get better, and you can always use that as an excuse in the back of your mind. It's year one. We're just watching us get better. And then hopefully it's not going to end up you don't end year one like Napier and like, well, maybe if this happened. There were a lot of question marks after the Napier's year one. So hopefully we're not there. I don't think we will be. But like I said, I do enjoy. Oh man, I hate that we even have to say that because we've had so many year ones over the last 15 years. But yeah, I do enjoy the year one for coaches.
Going to your point about year ones, they've been pretty indicative of a coach's success since we go to Spurrier.
Yeah,
Spurrier, good year one, successful head coach. Ron Zook. It was going to be tough coming behind Spurrier, but year one was like every other year with Ron Zook. They just, every season played out the same way pretty much. And then, of course, Urban Meyer, successful year one, successful head coach. Will Muschamp takes over after him, once again, taking over after a really, really good head coach. It was a so-so year one, better year two. So it wasn't as indicative if it was for him because it just kind of, a fast peak after year one and then come crashing down. McElwain.
It's kind of like an anomaly too. So almost kind of similar to Mullen. They both had some success, and then so you can't really put them as like terrible coaches, but still at the same time they had trends, like you were saying. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go to your point. I mean, McElwain did have a successful year one and a successful year two, but it didn't amount to much after that. Mullen the same way. Success. It is going funny going and looking at Mullen. He just kind of came at Florida at the wrong time in a way. If he had just been the coach down the road and there's a college football playoff, Florida would have been in the CFP for the years under Mullen, which would have been kind of funny with an expanded playoff. But still one of the more successful head coaches Florida has had. There was a good year one. Of course. So you can have a good year one and it not mean much. But, for Florida coaches who have had a good year one or who have had a lot of success, they also had a good year one. So it's not a benchmark for sure success, but it looks like coaches haven't had success without a good year one.
Champ had me so fooled after year two. Whew.
I know. I was fully on board.
For real.
Good recruiting class, like top 10 team. Man, it's like what went wrong?
The Louisville game.
You're right.
That Bridgewater, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It was Bridgewater. Yep.
And Charlie Strong was the head coach.
Yeah. Yep. Sure was. Let's go to this thought. We'll keep it on football for a second, then we'll go to the rivalry thoughts here. Talking about this on the offense a little bit because we've heard from some of these coaches and stuff, and Jaden Ball returning, and you have Singleton coming through the transfer portal, and VB3, Dallas Wilson returning, and the skill position talent at Florida. I don't think we'll really be lacking this year. We'll see what happens at quarterback. We'll see what happens at offensive line. But of course, a lot of talk about adapting the system to the personnel rather than forcing players into a scheme. And look, have heard that from staffs before. It just kind of seemed like lip service. I don't think it's lip service here with Buster Faulkner leading the way. So, guys, on your thoughts, I think mainly for offense on this, we'll see, as far as defense. But when we talk about adaptability and, type of athletes you can get and kind of what we want to see different from what we saw before, obviously we want to see on defense too. But I think this kind of conversation through Gator Nation has lended itself more towards the offensive side of the ball. What style do you think best fits the Gators roster right now? And hearing what Jon Sumrall has talked about, and Buster Faulkner and what he's had to say as well. For me, I understand and I want to see it too. I think it needs to be, and I've said this before, be able to dictate. If you want to go run heavy, be able to go run heavy. If you want to go 4 wide and open up the offense, be able to do that as well. I think for what I see, don't get me wrong, I'd love to be able to throw the ball over the field, but you got Jaden Ball in the backfield too. And there's, run the ball. We've said there's a motto there. You got him to come back. He's part of your offense as well. It might sound boring, but you guys know, and you know enough about football, a balanced attack here does not necessarily have to be boring, and I do go back to Spurrier a lot and how he passed to set up the run. There were some really good running backs under Steve Spurrier as well. A lot of strong run games under Steve Spurrier as well. And Eric Rett and Fred Taylor and Ernest Graham, Elijah Williams. Florida was able to run the ball. Florida was able to run the ball well under Steve Spurrier, even though he was known for the fun and gun and throwing the ball over the ball field. And a lot of that was because, the deep explosive passes, not necessarily living in the throw the ball 40, 50 yard, times every game. No, Florida was going to be a balanced attack. And it may start off, run or passing the ball over, but then running to win the game kind of seemed to be a mantra as well. And I see a lot of that with this offense as well. You have weapons at receiver. You have Jaden Ball. You attack the transfer portal at running back as well. What do you guys see as style for this Gator offense?
A lot like Georgia Tech's with less quarterback runs. He's bringing Follow over to run his offense. I doubt he's going to try to install something crazy new. Maybe he is. There'll be some changes, but I feel like it's going to be something pretty similar to that. Just not as many, letting your quarterback throw probably a little bit more rather than running the ball himself, or handing the ball off to Ball rather than him running.
One of my favorite aspects about that offense is it looks like it keeps defenses guessing.
Yeah, and if Fowler's a willing runner, then he's going to run the ball too. But that just depends on Follow.
Yeah. What were you saying, Garden State?
Yeah, so I was going to kind of say, on that note, that I feel like they're going to be – if I had to bet, the offense is going to look very different at the end of the year than it does at the beginning of the year. I feel like the team is going to be kind of figuring it out to start, which I think that's common. I think a lot of teams have to do that. My comparison would kind of be similar to, to go to the NFL level. What I hope happens is, the Liam Coleman effect for the Jaguars. What he had with them coming in, it's kind of like at the beginning, you're trying to figure out your quarterback, how they work, what plays they like. So a lot of that, you can only do so much in the offseason. When you're really in the fire, that's when you have to figure out what you're made of and what you're comfortable with. And so I think as they get into that, whether it's Philo or oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Our other quarterback.
Jones. Jones.
Yeah, Jones. Thank you. But whoever it is, right? Being able to be, kind of balanced, as you were saying before, Dave, keeping, teams on their toes. And then I think the biggest thing that I'm looking for, to be honest, is consistency in terms of, not getting penalties, not shooting ourselves in the foot. And I think our offensive line, really struggled with that under Napier. There were so many times where, you would watch a game and you'd see a series, take, for example, the Miami game last year. Come out of halftime, and we just, I think it was out of halftime, I'm pretty sure. We had that drive where we literally just ran it right down their throat, down the field. I'm like, where the hell did that come from? What? What? And so it's you have the capability of doing that. If you put it all together, it's just stop getting stupid penalties. It just everything they did, it just seems like they they couldn't get off the whatever it is, the mat, however many mats they had on the sidelines. They had too many mats. They couldn't get off of them, and it was all broken. So that's what I want to see. I want to see a team that comes out and, like, at the end of the game, it's like, all right, we had 3 penalties for like 15 yards, and they were consistently playing hard and together the whole entire game. And I think we could do that. Then back to, like, kind of our conversation earlier, once again, like, I don't think those games against Kentucky and Vanderbilt are going to be as scary. Because, like, once I see and feel like our team isn't going to shoot itself in the foot as much as it did before, because that happens. Everybody messes up. It's, human nature, but it's going to happen from time to time. But keeping it to a minimum and then just, playing smart football, I think that will, teams that play fast win. That's how it works in football. If you can play fast, you're not thinking about it, you just see ball, get ball, like, that's kind of get the defense a little bit more, but same concept on offense, right? You know your guy, you know your assignment on the offensive line. I think it's going to be so key this year too, because back to, like, kind of like predictions for the season, I think we're capable, but I still think we don't have the talent level on the lines of scrimmage that the Georgias and the Alabamas and some of these other schools have. So because of that, I think we're at a disadvantage, or we're going to have to be better in intelligence, playing smart football. We're going to have to beat some teams that way in order to, have any chance of, like, getting into playoffs or going, like, all the way, which, that's a lofty expectation, obviously.
Yeah, I do like, I said this on the last episode, one of the last episodes, is I do like how the staff is not hiding behind the expectation, though. You go back to This is the Swamp episode, and there's the dates of the SEC championship game. There's the dates of the college football playoff that's up there on the projector screen. And it's like, Jon Sumrall is basically sending the message and telling those guys, hey, look, if you don't expect to be playing football on those dates, then just kind of go ahead and walk out of the room. You don't need to be on this team. And I don't know what the expectation, or I don't know what the result's going to be. I wouldn't necessarily sit here in late February and pick Florida to make the college football playoff, but I'm glad that's the expectation. I'm glad that's the attack mantra that they have in the building, that, hey, no, that's not unattainable. Those are dates that we're going to keep on our calendar because we expect to be there no matter what anybody else thinks. And I'm glad there's going to be an attack mindset for those types of expectations for this team. So it's kind of what got that conversation started was, Evan McKissick, the tight end coach, talking about bringing in guys from the transfer portal and, needing numerous tight ends because we expect to play 16 games, not 12 games. And it's just, I was like, okay, you can see that there's been I think, concerted effort with this staff to, not necessarily, just kind of make up an expectation, but no, they're going to come in with the mindset, we're at Florida, we're going to win.
Whoa, slow down. So you telling me this is not a 5-year plan? Like the process here is going to slowly develop? Okay.
Yeah. We're not gonna have the fan base, and this got on my nerves. Y'all know I was fans of Napier, especially at the beginning and stuff. But one thing that irked me from the very beginning was kind of that 5-year plan mantra. That's what a lot of people labeled it as, but always throwing it in our face when we had any kind of complaint or criticism. That opening press conference line where he said, "You're gonna be upset with me through this whole process, but believe me, it will work in the end." And anytime you had a complaint or criticism, people, well, he told y'all it wasn't going to be easy. Well, shut up. Coaches don't think that way.
It's so true, though. It's like he wrote his own Bible. It's like, this is the book of Billy, and today, it says that we're going to lose to Texas A&M, and so please forgive me. It said it in my little book that I wrote here. So it's all part of the plan.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We're good.
Right.
Come on, man. Calm down. You lost. You messed up. You got to fix things. Just be upfront with people. Don't be this weird philosophical, act like you're a genius and better than everybody else somehow. You're not. You're just another dude, and good for you for trying hard, but you didn't work out, buddy. So yeah.
Yeah, I just hated when that was thrown back in our face. Although anytime we had a criticism. It's like, or critique. It's like, no. You don't get to keep falling back on that line of thinking.
Anytime you have to say it'll work out in the end, then you're in trouble. Because who's in? Like, when's that timeline? Like, as fans, in the end needs to be after a year, after 2 years. Napier may have been thinking this is a 10-year plan. So in the end, after 10 years, it'll start paying off. Trust me. I mean,
I feel like we went from we had McElwain, who was like the used car salesman, to with Billy Napier, who was like the preacher, that was like trying to sell us on the Kool-Aid all the time. And I was the sucker who like drank it up. I was like, yeah, that's great Kool-Aid, good stuff, man. And then obviously was not good in the end.
Well, there were times I was even done, and that 2024 win streak.
Yeah, I know.
In November.
I went through like a whole AA program and everything. I cut myself off. I was like, I'm great. Things are great. And all of a sudden, they put the Kool-Aid in front of me again. I was like, yeah, I got to do it. And then,
hey, that's the joys and journey of being a fan.
That's right.
He would start talking about the phases of the off season. And gets right in there.
Man, I ate that up when he first came in. Shared all those phases. Went into all that stuff.
We all did, Dave.
I know.
We all believe.
And
then Arkansas happened.
Yep. That's when I jumped off and got reeled back in later down the road. Thoughts on the rivalry games, guys? I was the first one to get to ask him about rivalry games when Jon Sumrall was here on the podcast, because that was something you guys wanted to know a good bit. And I think kind of going back to the previous staff and how just everything was even. Look, there are some aspects of football where being even keel can pay off. Absolutely, there. You don't want a lunatic, but you don't want Eeyore on the sidelines either. So maybe there was somewhere in the middle of the previous staff. Maybe it was more toward the Eeyore end of things. I don't know, but
definitely Eeyore.
Yeah,
definitely.
But we all know rivalry games need to hit different, and we didn't get that feeling. And now, mainly probably because of that, the results didn't really go Florida's way a good bit. I mean, the record against rivals, stunk under Billy Napier. Never turned that around. Never beat Georgia the whole time he was here. But it also just did not seem to embrace the rivalry games, at least publicly. These are special games, and we get that. But, we heard about, Urban Meyer, and I believe it was the Georgia game back in the day where I think they had things, the Georgia G in the urinal or something like that. But you also just got the feel of the rivalry games, what it meant to play Georgia, Tennessee, Florida State, and LSU, and what it means to all of us. And, certainly Jon Sumrall is saying, yeah, we're going to treat these games. The game plan is not necessarily going to change, but we're going to embrace the rivalries. We know it means a lot to Gator Nation. And kind of really, specifically with the Georgia game, obviously admitting that we need to be more competitive. The rivalry needs to change. So it was a breath of fresh air to hear the approach on rivalry games, because we all know how much that means to us.
I like that Eeyore comparison, Dave. So the range is the spectrum, or the scale is Billy Napier or Eeyore to Will Muschamp, because he was pretty into the rivalry games. So, Summerall kind of gave typical coach speed answers. You could tell, yes, he's going to take them serious, but it wasn't, he didn't go crazy over the top, super passionate about it either. So we'll see. Hopefully once he gets in there and he gets in the swamp and he sees the atmosphere of what it really is like during a rivalry, then he'll start embracing it a little bit more. But for the most part, I think you really have to be a part of it before you can actually understand how much it really means.
Yeah.
Coaches take care or take advantage of whatever they could find, to motivate their players. And I think that's a big part of it with rivalry games. Is like whether you know about it or not. Like obviously you want to learn about it, and he seems like he's invested in that. And then on top of that, I think he definitely seems like the type of guy that's he's a player. He's done it before, right? He's been there. He's been in these big games. So he understands the type of mentality you have to have throughout the course of a season. So he's not going to let them get too high or too low, but keep them, right where they need to be. And then, as they get closer or whatever they need to do to to pump things up to get ready for the game like they do it. So I feel good about that side of his, as a coach, like way more than I did, obviously, with Napier being Eeyore all the time. Like, I think he's the type of guy that can set his players up and make it to where it's eventually, just a precedent where all the players start doing it on their own. And then they start feeding off of it. And that's when you start having that like filter through the whole entire locker room. It can, become infectious. I think that's what we saw in Swamp Kings with Urban Meyer, where it was like after a while, it's like he just planted the seed. It just grew. And then Tim Tebow took it over. Brandon Seiler took it over. So it's like you want to get to a point to where you're just letting them just do it. It's just their system and they're taking over. And I think that's ultimately the goal. I think for any coach is want to get to that point where you're really confident in your leadership that you've developed throughout your system. And kind of goes back to like what you were saying before, Ryan, which I agree with. Like you have to have recruiting, right? That still has to be a foundation. You have to be building that culture throughout your whole entire team.
I just want Summerall, and I know it's different, but I want him to treat Georgia like Ohio State and Michigan treat each other.
He's not getting a fair shake his first 2 years. It's just.
I was going to say it's not in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Definitely different there. Atlanta first year, and then Tampa the year after that. And I made sure to bring that up to him, and not surprised. He already knew, of course. He wasn't surprised by the. It's not going to be in Jacksonville their first couple of years, but that's what takes some getting used to for me too. That's the that's my quote unquote my home game. But we'll get it back. But I just know that
it still makes no sense why they didn't do a home and home. Why?
Completely agree.
Too neutral. I mean, it's
all
just
money.
It's just silly.
They make more money that way. The school's going to get more money, so like it totally it makes sense. It stinks because it would be much more fun to have. I agree, like a home and home, but it's all about the dollars.
It doesn't make sense. It may make financial sense, but it doesn't make full sense.
Ryan, you just explained college football, by the way.
Exactly. You're right.
Let's expand the playoffs to 24 teams. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, but it makes sense if you catch my drift.
Exactly. Well, let's see.
Yeah. Ugh. You guys catch any of the basketball?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. Going back to we first played Georgia. I think that's like when I really like locked in.
Okay.
Was that Xavier Lee game where like he had like a breakout game?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And since that game, I've been like really locked in. I've watched like every second of every game pretty much, and it's been really cool to see them progressing. They're definitely on the right track. I still think they're a little underrated compared to like the rest of the league right now. Like when the recent polls came out or whatever, showing like where they were.
Yeah.
I would take them over to a lot of the teams that they lost to earlier this year. I just think they're playing so much better brand of basketball, and like really like I think the announcers keep bringing it up, every single time. Like their shooting has just got so much better.
Yeah.
Especially from their guards. You've got Klabschar, you've got Boogie Flans, who was hitting some threes last game finally, which was good to see. You even saw Condon see one go down. So, like, you've got all these guys that are starting to shoot the ball really well. Condon looks so much more confident now, too. I think Condon has been the most improved player on the team since the beginning of the year. Like, his ability to get the ball in the post and just be decisive. Like, I love how he gets it. He's just going straight up with it. He's not bringing it down as much anymore. I think it's making a big difference in his overall shooting percentage. And anyways, I go on and on. I just feel like this team is like primed to go on a nice run here. So
for Condon, your notes on him, one thing, it is funny you point him out, talking about the improvement of this team, because it just seems like once they kind of decided, and look, he finally hit a three yesterday in that game, but it's kind of like once they decided to say, all right, you're gonna, I don't know if it was a message to him or, maybe something just, mentally for him is, all right, well, the three's not working. So I'm not going to keep taking them. It's just a wasted shot. We're wasting a good possession. And to me, it seemed there was like a stark, and I forget what game it was, but you could kind of tell. I was like, oh, he's just not going to shoot the three now. And he's either going to pass it off or maybe try and penetrate a little bit more and get an easier basket for himself. But it did seem like there was a concerted effort to not shoot the ball from three as much from him. I think the offense has gotten better since then. And then going against to your point with the guards against Ole Miss, I think this was probably the first time, Lee and Flan together. Sometimes it's one that will kind of break out and have his game. I thought both showed some good things that in the same game for the first time in quite a while.
Yeah, I think Clapshire had like over 10 points too, right?
Yeah, he had 11 off the top of my head. I think he had 11.
Yeah, so like they had three guys that were shooting probably well over
35%
from like three, I would imagine. I would have to go back and look at it, but like they're shooting pretty well, somewhere around there at least. So that's
Clabs
if you could have that on a semi-consistent basis with this team, like good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck beating that team.
Clabsar was 4 or 5 from beyond the arc. He had 15. Lee was the one who had 11 points. I was trying to go off the top of my head here. And then 26 assists on 32 made field goals. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this team's good. I mean, they are. I mean, once the tournament comes, it'll come down to matchups, and then those guards continuing to play well.
What's interesting for me, Ryan, once you start getting on that aspect of things is because here's the thing. I mean, Florida's dominating right now, in most of these SEC games. And let's see, I put it in the article yesterday. I want to make sure I read it right. This victory marked Florida's 6th consecutive SEC road win, time for second longest streak in program history. The Gators have now won 7 straight games overall, 12 of their last 13. 7 of those 13 victories have come by at least 15 points. So once you start talking tournament, and when you're talking SEC tournament as well, maybe, but I think, like, what does it, as Florida's turning this corner, as Florida's kind of dominating everybody right now, the SEC was a whole lot better as a league last year. How does that translate for Florida going into the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament? I think is something to watch. I think it's still a good league and a tough league, but not what it was last year. And look, the rankings kind of bear that out as well. What does that do for Florida come tournament time? Is it not being tough? Are they as prepared as they were last year heading into the tournament? Or I think the way I look at it is, the league may not be as good, but Florida is just dominating right now. I mean, it is, there was this run of games where they got off to fast starts and the game was pretty much over by the first, official timeout. And then besides the Kentucky game in that stretch, that game was close. But, you're seeing here when Florida's not even playing their best, they're still winning games by double digits and near 20-point wins.
Yeah, I think the national tournament will definitely be a tougher test than the SEC tournament. Like you said, the league is a little down this year. And then when it comes to that tournament, man, we made such a great run behind Walter Clayton. I mean, he just killed it the last half, both tournaments, all the way to the end of the year, all the way through the tournaments. I'm not sure if we're going to get that kind of guard play, but if we do, then watch out. Because we're going to match up well with most teams because
of the
size we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, the game we play, it's going to be tough for a lot of teams. But, again, we're going to have to – our guards are going to have to step up and at least give us something. Like we've seen, once they have started improving throughout the year, we've been pretty much dominating everybody.
Yeah. I don't want to be nitpicky, and look, I'll take these double-digit wins all throughout the rest of the way. But, would it be good? Now, I still want the team to win, but would it be good for this team to get punched in the mouth and have to find a way to win a game? Or,
well, they did.
Or is it better?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Or is it better to keep winning by double digits?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of. That's kind of what I was going back before. Like when they had that game against Georgia, I kind of felt like that was that game.
Yeah,
it was like a pretty close game, and like they were actually able to like finish them off. And I feel like since then, like have they lost since then?
Well, they're 12-2 in the league, so they've been posting.
The last loss was Auburn on January 24th. So it's almost been a month since the Gators lost.
But that was a bad loss. It was definitely a bad loss.
That was the game, Dave.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So that was definitely
I didn't realize that.
A big catalyst then, but
yeah, I knew it had been a while, and I knew that was the last loss. I didn't realize it's almost a month ago. Like by the time
since then, they've been on tear.
Florida's next game is February.
That's what I'm kind of. And I think you guys are not putting enough into like Tommy Houck too.
Yeah,
but I feel like he is like our Walter Clayton this year. I kind of feel that way at least because I feel confident when we need a clutch play.
Yeah, he
can do it. Like on the offensive end and the defensive end. Like he is the guy I want in clutch time, guarding the best player on the floor, and he's the guy that I want. Maybe actually, I don't know. Ruben Chinley's been amazing.
Yeah, I'm about to say Chinley.
But
I got what you're saying because it was the last game.
He got switched on somebody. He would make it happen.
So. Chinley was kind of easy to forget because he didn't have the best game against Ole Miss, but before that, that game, he's just been on a tear. Yeah, he
is. Man, he's like player of the year so far in my mind.
There was a stretch where he was the high team on. He was led the team in rebounds. He had a stretch going back to the Tennessee game January 10th. He had 16, 12, 10, 21 where he led the team. So there you go. Auburn in a loss, Houck led the team in rebounds with 10. And then Chinley picked it back up again, 11, 17, 16, 20. And then Condon led in rebounds against Kentucky with 11. And you start to see a trend here. If Chinley is on the boards, this is where the blowouts have been happening. He didn't lead the team in rebounds against Kentucky, closer game. Didn't lead the team in rebounds against Auburn. That was a loss. This Ole Miss game, now he didn't. Houck had 9. That was the high. But like I said, he's Chinley's probably, to me, the most. He's the funnest player to watch to me right now.
Keep him out of foul trouble, especially in the NCAA tournament, because it's we different officials. They may not be as forgiving as league officials.
What I really love right now though is the pick and roll with Condon, like at the top, and Chinley or even hand locked and down low. And he's been doing it more. I wish he would have done it earlier in the year, but anyways, it doesn't matter now. He's doing it a lot more. Where when he gets it off, like we were talking about before, where he's like wide open from 3, there's this giant void that's just like right in the middle of the court, right by like the free throw line. And he's been like actually diving in and like kind of like driving to the basket pretty much, like more so now than he did earlier in the year. And when he does that, it just draws everybody to him. And it's either a lob to, whoever's there for an easy dunk, or he's spinning into like a good shot, or he's making good decisions throwing it back out. So like the more of that I can see from this team, like if they continue to do that on a consistent basis, because they get away from it sometimes. I think there's a few times where they just, they're playing teams that are playing good defense too. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that.
Yeah, I thought Ole Miss was playing really good defense to start that game, and Florida still ends up with 94 points. So,
yeah. That kid was good for their team. I forget his name that was like tearing it up. But I remember seeing him earlier this year too. I think he's a freshman.
Dia
for Ole Miss. Yeah, Dia. Yeah. I think he looks like he's a legit could be a NBA type of player there. So.
Yep. 57% from field goal percentage for the Gators there. They shot 50% beyond the arc against Ole Miss. So certainly the 19 turnovers were the biggest gripe of the game, but certainly 19 turnovers and still 94 points. And so there we go. 39-24 rebound edge over Ole Miss. I think coming up this week, Florida has Texas Wednesday night at 7. So there we go. Texas and Arkansas, next 2 games. So Arkansas, 2 games behind, I believe, with a pack of other teams. Yep, teams coming in shape. Fun to watch. All right, everybody. Hey,
that's right on.
I'm like so confident we're just going to keep winning. Like I haven't even been paying attention to everybody else.
Well, game day will be in Gainesville next week.
That's right. Yep, game day in town for Arkansas. That's right. Oh, that's a night. That's a night game. We're going to Disney. We're going to Disney this weekend, so that might actually help me out.
There you go.
So
just call ESPN and let them know you're be a little bit late.
Be a little bit late, guys. Basketball games never start on time anyway, so let's get this to start maybe a little later.
All right, Dave. Good chat.
Yeah, good chat, guys.
Yeah.
Hit a lot right here. All right, everybody. That will do it for this Gators Breakdown Plus member chat. If you want to become a member, link is in the description, or go to gatorsbreakdownplus.com. And you can take part in chats like these as well, and the regular Discord chat where the conversation happening all day, every day, right here on Gators Breakdown Plus.